back. Finally, last week I had a bit of a emotional breakdown, so I couldn't bring a video to you guys on Saturday, but today I'm just gonna do a quick video for you guys. This was kind of sort of a request from one of my homies, Tati. She asked about contouring because she wasn't sure how to do it, and at first I kind of didn't want to do it because I was like, I feel like there's so many beginner contour videos on YouTube. But because I was asked from multiple people, I figured why not just do it. Obviously people want to see it. So I'm going to do this video. This is going to be a video about how I choose to contour and what I think is the easiest way for beginners to do it. So I already put foundation on. I haven't color corrected or anything like that because I am packing for my trip to go home. And it is 12 in the morning right now and I still haven't finished packing. I haven't finished laundry. So yeah, this is just like a quick foundation is already on, some eyeliner is on, a little shadow is on, and my brows are already done. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into the contouring. So basically I use two things when I contour. I do a cream contour and I always do a powder contour on top of it, because I always set whatever cream or liquid that I use with the powder. Now, this is up to you. I know there's a whole new craze of people contouring under their liquid foundation. That's not what I do. When I'm using a liquid foundation, I contour on top of it. Okay? I contour on top of it. When I'm using a powder foundation, I can either contour under it if I'm using a liquid or a cream. And if I'm using a powder contour instead, I'll just put the powder on over my powder foundation. Okay? So the easiest way that I think for beginners to contour is with powder. Sorry, it's a little greasy. It's with powder. Only because I feel like with powder you can control your hands a bit more with the brush. With cream, I feel like sometimes you can apply too much and then you might get nervous and you don't know how to fix that, you know, you're putting on too much. So I'm just going to show you guys how I contour. So I always use my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and this is the shade, I can never say the name, I think it's Amande, I think. This always goes under my eyes because it's the best for coverage. When I want to be a little extra and do a highlight under my eyes, I always go with my LA Girl and the shade Fawn because it's a bit lighter than usual. I've learned that contouring and highlighting has a lot to do with the shape of your face. And the way that my face is shaped, I have a circular, kind of like a circular shaped face, obviously a very round face. And I don't do the triangle thing. I just don't do it. And I don't think that pulling my contour out this way does anything for my face personally. I know some people, they'll bring it all the way out here. I don't do that. Sometimes if I want a lot of coverage, I'll do like a round kind of shape of right under the eye. It's kind of, you see how it's like rounded and it's not sharp. Sometimes I do that only because I already have really high cheekbones. So it's just like a lot when I'm like sharp and then it's like, it's too much. So here is where you're just going to put your concealer to conceal. And on this side, I'm actually going to use LA Pro Girl on the right side just to see the difference. You have to be careful when you put in this on your face because for some reason it blends out as a lot. I don't know what's that about, but it comes out as a lot. I always use a sponge to sponge out my eyes, my under eye. I just think it's easier and I think it looks better. And I always bring it into my nose. And I bounce back and forth just so I can make sure that the coverage on both sides is going to be even. Because sometimes I feel like when I go just one side, when I go ham on one side and then I go in to do the other side, it's not evenly blended. I mean, that could just be me, but. And now because I have creasing, I powder immediately. Like as soon as I finish this, I go in with the powder. And it's going to be my black Opal setting powder in the shade medium, the Black Opal Deluxe finishing powder, excuse me. And I just take a little on my sponge. I always blow a little bit off, and I just get it in the creasing. Now before you do this, you want to make sure that you've blended out your concealer really well under your eyes, because you don't want to set the creases. That would be stupid and pointless. So you always want to make sure the creases are good. I'm gonna make some weird faces, sorry. Now right now I'm a little tired, so I already have bags under my eyes, so it's a little bit hard. It's gonna be hard for me to really conceal the creases right now. But on a normal day, I would really get in my creases with a damp sponge and really clear it out. And then on this side, and for my under eye, I always go in twice. I put a little bit of powder just to set, and then when I want to bake, I'll go back in with extra powder. Now for the rest of the concealer, you can highlight down your nose, which is what I like to do. You can do a bit in the forehead. Now my forehead is kind of, when my hair's like this, my forehead is actually really small. But when my natural hairline is out, I have a wide forehead. So I have more space to do more things usually. But I'll still put the contour up here. So you're just going to bring it in the middle of your head. I'll put some on my chin, lip, and then the cheeks. So the way that I do it, because again, as you can see, naturally darker here, I always make sure I connect with my ear. So when I do the lighter color for my contouring, I always go from this thing of my ear, I don't know what it's called, from the small piece, like downwards. I don't know what that's called, but you see how it's kind of like straight down? And I don't put a lot because I'm not crazy about my highlight there. And then again, you just blend it all out. Now I like to blend separately. I know some people do their dark and their light at the same time. I think I've done that a few times in some of my videos, but I like to do it separately personally when I'm actually doing my makeup not on camera. I just realized that I was supposed to use LA Girl on this side of my face, but whatever. You can already see that it's a little bit lighter along this whole streamline of my face. For the cream contour, if you're going to use something like this as a cream contour, this is not cream to powder. Rihanna recently, I think hers is cream to powder. I think it kind of, once you blend it in, it gives a powder consistency. This one, if you're going to use a straight up cream, you have to set it with the powder. Like, set it with the powder. And if you're going to use it, I highly suggest using a dense brush, because or your fingers. Your fingers are good too, because it'll warm up the product and it'll melt into your face easier. So yeah, I think I'm actually going to use this, or you know what, I'm gonna stick with my favorite. This is my Sephora contour stick, and as you can see, it's like gone. It's like there's no product left. But this side has mad product in it. Like this side, because it's too damn light. Oh, whoopsies. And there's still some more in there. It's too light, Sephora. The deep, it's too goddamn light, and Sephora needs to fix that, because this is a great contour stick and it's cheap and it's good for beginner. So if you're beginning, go to Sephora, get you one of these. It's cheap. It's from their brand. Now for the darker side, so we're just gonna go along the cheekbone. I put a little bit, when I use a cream, I put a little bit right on the jawline. That's it. I don't put anything else because I'm gonna set it with a powder. So just a tiny little dab, and then above the jawline right there. Is that even? Yeah. And then we're gonna go in on the nose. Now at first, I've been crazy about a nose highlight for some time, but As of lately, I haven't really been crazy about it. But yeah. So now the forehead, you just want to put a little bit across. And I know for certain face shapes, they recommend not doing anything on your forehead because it closes it in. It makes it look weird, but for me, I need to do it. Now, as usual, you just blend. Blend it out. Now, you never want it to look like it's so like harsh and too much. So I always blend like outwards. You always blend up. Now we're gonna set it with the powder. And this is just my Black Radiance True Complexion contour palette. Same one I always use. And I always use a fluffy angled brush. A thick brush is what you need. It just sweeps, I think it just sweeps so perfectly on my face. So I just dab it just once. And then I brush up. And this is just a set. Now you can do this without the cream. You can just get one of these and just go at it. I think that this is the easiest route for beginners to take because with a powder, again, you can control it. It's just easier to control it. There's even some people that aren't beginners that just think they just find it easier to control a contour with a powder. And now, not too much with the jawline because you don't want to look crazy. But you want to give yourself some type of definition in your face. But yeah, always brush up. And then you can sweep it back and forth. And now for the nose, I use a smaller brush. This is a double-ended Tarte concealer brush or contour brush. I use this for my nose. And I drag from the eyebrow, like the inner, the closest part of my eyebrow. I drag from there and I just take the other side and I buff it out. Basic contour. And now to set, again, I go back in with my powder. Whoa. And I set down my nose. I set in the middle of my forehead. Anywhere that I put cream, I set because I am an oily girl. So I always set my smile lines. Right into the nose crease. Now, I already set under my eyes and I'm not trying to bake, so, but I will just dab a little under the eye. Just to give it some evenness. Now, your darker contour is already set. Oh, I forgot my chin. Chin and upper lip. So your darker contour is already set, and as you can see on my face, it's already like bomb. Now, if you want to clean up your brows, you can do that with the concealer, but I don't do all that because I just like them to look natural. Like, I don't like my eyebrows to look perfect. That's just like a thing that I deal with in my personal life. So now I'm just gonna take my other double-sided Tarte contouring brush and just brush away the powder. Usually I will let it sit for like 5 minutes, but I'm not doing anything, and I'm gonna wash this off right after I'm finished, so doesn't even matter. And now I look nicely contoured. And now this is where you take your highlight, and I'm not going to use the highlight from the contour palette. I'm actually going to use Wet n Wild's highlight and crown of my Canopy. Now, this is the brush that I use for the Rihanna highlighters. And I found the shark tooth brush, but it's not in here. But because this is a powder, I usually use a fan brush. But if for some reason I can't find my fan brush right now, so I don't know. So I usually use one of 3 brushes. I use either a flat brush like this. It's not that thick at all. I use a flatter brush like this that has a little bit more density to it, a little bit more thickness, or I use my fan brush. And it all depends on the product. So this is a powder, so this would come on nicely with pretty much any brush that you use. At least I think it does. With the cream, I highly recommend using a dense brush. So if you were going to use like a cream, if I was going to use this highlight on this end, I would use a dense brush. Like, and you always go along your cheekbone. Is that good enough? Yes, that was good enough. Or I could even use my Fenty Beauty, because I did get Trophy Wife. So I'll go in with the thicker brush. Even though I just use like 2 things. You see? You always brush up, 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 up. I got a little on my cheek, but that's fine. So I'll go in again on this side, always up. And now this stuff comes on kind of like lime green on me. Does it give anybody else that? Mind you, I hardly even put any on this brush, so you always have to blend. Blend. Blending is your best friend. And then I like to take a little, I usually use my finger, and for this I am going to use my finger, but I always highlight my nose, the tip of my nose, because a nose highlight is my favorite highlight. I could do without this highlight, like looking like this. But this and this need. I don't highlight under my brows. I know a lot of people do. I just don't like the way it looks on me. I feel like the section of my eye is so small that it just looks crazy. So I'm just going to take a little of my finger, put a little on the nose, and right in the middle. And then I just sweep. I blend it out with my finger. I love a highlight on my nose. And it's so subtle. I'm going to actually use some of this too, because I just love a nose highlight, y'all. Like, I like my nose to look bronze. Yes! I love it. I love it. And sometimes when I'm going out, I like to put a little on my lip, top of my lip, on my Cupid's bow. And then a little on my chin. Because all points seem to be highlighted, honey. I'll just grab some of this Fenty Beauty Fenty Glow. Now the best way to highlight your upper lip, I personally think, is with the fan brush. But I can't find mine, so I'm screwed. And this is just your basic contour and highlight. This is how I contour and highlight, and I think that it's pretty easy. It's a really easy routine. I'll put everything that I use on my face down below in the description bar in the order that I used it. And remember, always brush up, blend until you can't blend anymore. Don't go ham on the cream contour if you're going to use a cream contour. If you're a beginner, go with the powder. It's easy to control. Use a thick angled brush always. And if you're going to blend out, you can definitely use a moist sponge. That's what I like to use when you're using a cream. But always set your cream products with a powder. Always, always, always. Okay? And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next week after my birthday trip. I'm going to tape during my birthday trip. So it's about to be lit. So there will be no video on Saturday again. So I'll see you guys next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Love you guys. Bye.